Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the January 27th, 2019 special edition of The Breast There Is, The Breast There Was, and The Breast There Ever Will Be Wrestling Podcast. As always, I am your host, Mikey B, WWE. And today's podcast, of course, is a special edition because tonight is one of the biggest premier events in the WWE's calendar, the Royal Rumble. This event has always been one of my absolute favorites, and I would say, generally speaking, for a match that occurs on an annual basis, the Royal Rumble match is my favorite matchup of the year. So I'm so excited. This is the second year in a row that we are going to have both a men's Royal Rumble match and a women's Royal Rumble match. So 2 Royal Rumble matches is twice as good. I'm so excited. And another reason why this is such a great event is because this is really, and has historically been, and for many decades now in the WWE, the first major precursor in the build-up towards WrestleMania. We finally start getting some answers as to how WrestleMania's match card will shape up. And it's exciting to finally see how the piece of the puzzles start to line up. So this is it's a huge event. The WWE, though, since now it has 2 men's top championships and 2 women's top championships, it does not guarantee anything yet as far as how the top championship matches will go, and considering for WrestleMania, that is, and considering that the WWE is always evolving and always modifying their storylines and their plots with different twists and everything, there's nothing to say that a match couldn't turn into a triple threat or a fatal 4-way come WrestleMania time, which I expect, for just like I said last year, come WrestleMania, that there will be a number of these kinds of matches given the depth on the roster for both the female and the male rosters. So, but even so, Royal Rumble will still give us quite a glimpse into the big picture heading into WrestleMania in the next few months. So Royal Rumble this evening has 7 different matches on the card. And before I give my predictions for this pay-per-view event this evening, I want to remind my listening audience that my pay-per-view prediction rate heading into tonight's event of this wrestling calendar year so far is getting 53 matches correct out of a possible 83, which is good for 64%. And this does not include any kickoff matches, and of course, some of these incorrect predictions of mine have been a result of disqualifications, countouts, no contests, things of that nature. So I would say it's nearly impossible to get 100% on these things, but even so, I'm still happy with the prediction percentage rate I do have thus far. So now, turning our attention towards tonight and the 7 matches on the card. The first match listed is for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships between champions The Bar taking on the newly formed tag team of The Miz and Shane McMahon. They aren't listed on WWE's website as such, but they are billing themselves as the greatest tag team in the world. At least The Miz is calling them that. This is a match that I think, this is not going to be one of the highlight matches of the event tonight, but I have a feeling that Miz and Shane McMahon coming together, this is going to be a fairly short-lived exchange, or a fairly short-lived partnership, I should say, with these two. I do think, though, that this will carry over into at least WrestleMania. So I think that The Miz and Shane McMahon will be victorious tonight, which will certainly permit them to then defend these championships at WrestleMania, which, again, I don't see this partnership lasting all that long, but I still at least think they will head into WrestleMania likely as the tag team champions. So my prediction is that The Miz and Shane McMahon will be victorious tonight and will be the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. The second match on the card is the SmackDown Women's Championship match featuring champion Asuka taking on Becky Lynch. This should be a great match because both of these women are 2 of the best competitors in the women's division with both shows. Basically in the whole company, they're 2 of the finest female wrestlers on the roster. Becky Lynch, though, as we've seen in recent months, has become pretty much the hottest female superstar in the company. She, I believe, is destined for a main event spot at WrestleMania in one of the top women's championship matches. And since she's been on SmackDown this past year, I expect that she will be certainly vying for, or at least in the SmackDown Women's Championship match come WrestleMania time. Before she won her number one contendership spot in this match, I actually was thinking for quite some time that Becky Lynch was the front runner to win the Royal Rumble matchup. But since she now is competing in this championship match, and with the assumption she will not be in the women's Royal Rumble match, I still expect anyways that she's going to wind up in the WrestleMania women's championship match, a main event match there. So I think tonight Becky Lynch will be victorious over Asuka, though it's very unclear whether this feud will continue until WrestleMania, whether it will just be the two of them, or if someone like Charlotte Flair or even someone else who I'm not even mentioning thus far might get involved and make this a triple threat or a fatal four-way. This one, I think, has the potential to become, or at least come WrestleMania time, be more than just two competitors. But Becky Lynch, I think, will certainly win back her championship tonight. Even though, there's also the line of thinking that they could have her withhold the belt from her and have it be a more impressive, crowd-pleasing moment at WrestleMania time. But Becky Lynch is too red hot. I think she didn't have the title very long in this recent title reign of hers, so I think she's going to have it back, and then we'll see how the matchup's going to shape up. And as well, between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, we also have the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, which is something where also circumstances and potential matchups for WrestleMania can be altered. So even though we're going to get a glimpse at how WrestleMania is going to look in a few months, there's still lots that's going to be shaken up in the whole picture, at least as far as we, the viewers, get to see. But regardless, after that long-winded explanation, Becky Lynch is my pick to win the SmackDown Women's Championship tonight. Moving on to the Raw Women's Championship match now, or on the other program, we have champion Ronda Rousey taking on Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks is someone that for the past year or so hasn't really been in much of a title contention on either program with the top belt. But before that, in the years prior, she was constantly in the title picture, having won the belt a number of times. Yet I still don't think that this feud's going to carry on beyond tonight. And a big reason for that is because we also are already aware at next month's pay-per-view event, Elimination Chamber, for the first time ever, they will crown women's tag team champions in the Elimination Chamber matchup. And months and months ago, when this idea was first even mentioned on WWE programming, it was Sasha Banks and Bayley who were sort of the ones who were championing the idea of having a women's tag team division, and they wanted to be the first women's tag team champions. So I do think that this feud will conclude tonight. Sasha Banks may also get back in the top title picture again sometime soon, but I don't expect that will happen anytime in the foreseeable future, and at least in the next few months, because I believe her attention will soon turn back to next month's Elimination Chamber match for that tag team championship. I believe her and Bayley are going to make a run for those. So I predict Ronda Rousey will retain her championship tonight. And certainly, I think the company, WWE, wants Ronda Rousey in one of the top title matches at come WrestleMania time. So to me, this one's one of the more obvious predictions for tonight. But you never know what they have up their sleeves. But still, Ronda Rousey's my pick for that one. The fourth prediction of the night is for the 30 women Royal Rumble match. Of course, this is just the second now annual women's Royal Rumble match, with Asuka being the victor of the very first one last year. In my mind, I mentioned earlier in this podcast that Becky Lynch was someone in my mind who was a front runner leading up in the weeks leading up to Royal Rumble, but before she clinched her spot in a women's championship match, that had to change everything. So now for me, it's between two people. Very clearly, I think it's between Charlotte Flair and Nia Jax, because both of these people have potential feuds going with either champion or potential champion, certainly in the coming months. I will give the edge there, and I think the Royal Rumble winner will be Charlotte Flair, and she might even turn her attention to Ronda Rousey to have a matchup with her at WrestleMania, which I think would be a great one-on-one matchup. But at the same time, she could also try and compete again with Becky Lynch or Asuka. Lots of potential here, lots of different possibilities, but I believe that Charlotte Flair will be awarded the victory in the 30 women Royal Rumble matchup. So Charlotte Flair is my pick for that Royal Rumble match. So if I get one or both of these winners right of the Royal Rumble matches, I'm pretty proud of myself, given that I have a 1 in 30 shot for either one, whereas most matches I have a 1 in 2 or 1 in 3. So my odds are quite low on getting these here, but I do expect Charlotte Flair to be the winner of that one. And if I'm somehow wrong, I think Nia Jax will be the one, but Charlotte Flair is my pick to win. And turning our attention now to the men's Royal Rumble match, the 30-man Royal Rumble match. For a while, I was thinking kind of similarly with Becky Lynch. I thought that for someone who I've sort of foreseen being in the WrestleMania top picture leading up to it was Finn Balor. And then, of course, the WWE, they made some changes there. Vince McMahon removed Braun Strowman's Royal Rumble Championship matchup against Brock Lesnar, and Finn Balor had to win his place in the match. So now the championship match for the Universal Championship is Brock Lesnar and Finn Balor. So even though, again, much like I had in mind Becky Lynch winning the women's match early on in my thinking leading up to Royal Rumble, I also had Finn Balor in my mind winning the men's. And since he's now competing in the Universal Championship match, I'm no longer picking him either, much like I'm no longer picking Becky Lynch. I do think that the Universal Championship match at WrestleMania will be a triple threat match. I believe it will at least be a triple threat, possibly a fatal four-way. But I think it will be kind of the names who are right in the picture right now, Brock Lesnar, Finn Balor, and who my pick will be to be the Royal Rumble winner tonight, Braun Strowman. I think right now I don't even think the company, WWE, is sure who they're going to give the title to at WrestleMania between Finn Balor and Braun Strowman, but I just have a very strong feeling that Universal Championship match at WrestleMania time is going to be it'll be one of either Finn Balor or Braun Strowman who will win the belt there. So that might be a little bit of a precursor to one of my next predictions coming up, but even so, Braun Strowman is my pick to win the men's Royal Rumble match this evening and go on to WrestleMania and get involved in the Universal Championship matchup there. The sixth match on the card is for the WWE Championship, featuring champion Daniel Bryan taking on AJ Styles. These guys have now been feuding for over a month, close to 2 months. This is a feud which I also don't see concluding anytime before WrestleMania. And yet this is another matchup that I think will also probably expand to a triple threat come WrestleMania time, with the person being involved there, in my opinion, will be John Cena. And if you're asking why am I not choosing John Cena to win the Royal Rumble match over someone like Braun Strowman, the reason is simply because John Cena's won the Royal Rumble a few times already. I think it's a good idea and a good gesture by the company to reward someone else like Braun Strowman, who hasn't really earned, besides his very, very brief tag team championship title run after WrestleMania last year, he hasn't held any championships, and he's the right guy to give a push to as well. But John Cena, since we still have a few months to go before WrestleMania, I still think he will wind up in the WWE Championship match at WrestleMania, because those who have been following Cena's career know that he is tied with Ric Flair for the most championships of all time. The man is going to be 42 this year, John Cena, and we're seeing less and less of him as the years are going by now in the WWE, because he's turning his attention more on Hollywood, much like Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, has done. So I certainly feel that this is the year that Cena is he's going to win and break the record, win the 17th championship, top title, whatever, break the record there, beating Ric Flair. but I don't think he will win a Rumble tonight, just because it would be like I said, a better gesture for the company to reward somebody else for that. But meanwhile, Cena will still, I think, find his way into this triple threat match. Maybe even a fatal four-way if they get Samoa Joe or someone like that involved too. But Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, I think, will wind up. This feud will carry on into WrestleMania with probably John Cena involved. But for tonight's matchup, for the prediction for tonight, I think Daniel Bryan as champion is not changing at all. Not yet. Even though AJ Styles or Vince McMahon tried to light a fire under him in recent weeks, I still think Daniel Bryan in some dirty fashion will be victorious, retain the belt, certainly until WrestleMania time. But Daniel Bryan, so he's my pick to retain the WWE Championship tonight. Now moving on to the final match of the night, the Universal Championship, featuring champion Brock Lesnar taking on Finn Balor. I've already kind of alluded to this one in my discussion and analysis of the Men's Royal Rumble match a few moments ago. I think, and much like Ronda Rousey with the Raw Women's Championship, I think the WWE very much wants to keep Brock Lesnar in the title match, main event title match up come WrestleMania. He's still a very big draw to the company, and if he's in the title match, that generates certainly more interest, I think, at least as far as what I think the company believes. So Brock Lesnar will defeat Finn Balor tonight. I do have a feeling that there is going to be some foul play. I think Braun Strowman may somehow turn up and cause some ruckus, which might affect Finn Balor's chances to defeat Brock Lesnar, and also which would nicely segue into them having a triple threat come WrestleMania time. But even so, Brock Lesnar, I believe, will certainly retain the title tonight. It could be he could lose by disqualification or something if Braun Strowman, involves himself and attacks him and giving Finn Balor a victory, but not the title. I don't know. Disqualifications are extremely difficult to predict, but regardless, I'm betting for sure that Lesnar will retain his championship, and so for prediction purposes, he's my pick to win the match. So there you have it, folks. Those are my predictions for the 2019 Royal Rumble event. I hope you're very excited, because I definitely am. Any night when we can get one Royal Rumble match, let alone two, is a very good night for WWE viewers, and this is a really great time of the year on the calendar in the WWE with WrestleMania coming up in a few months. We're definitely going to see a lot of great WWE action in the next few months. So hope you guys enjoy, and I'm hoping that I enjoy it as well. And before I forget, don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel below if you liked what you heard. So thanks very much for listening, and see you next time.